Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me. My name is Brian Dotson. I'm the West Coast Sales Manager for Telguard. And what I wanted to do here is produce a quick interview series with some of my colleagues. So joining me today is our Director of Technical Services, Daniel Rosales. Daniel, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. It's Thursday, loving life and living in the fast lane of Telguard. All great.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me. And with that, let's just kind of get into it. So my first question for you today is, with the 3G and CDMA sunsets in the rear view, what do you see as the next technology hurdle for our customers?
That's a good question. I don't know if I would consider it a hurdle as much as an opportunity, right? I guess, more of an optimistic point of view. POTS is really the hot topic right now. Is it going away? Is it being phased out? Is it on its deathbed, or is it just transforming into something else? The truth of the matter is that it is not the same that it was 10, 15 years ago. The truth of the matter is that there are some things that are happening from a regulatory perspective that are kind of pushing people away from having to use POTS. But also with that comes an opportunity. If they don't have to use POTS anymore, or if they're being forced out of it due to price increases or things of that nature that are happening naturally, what are those property managers, building owners, homeowners, what are they doing? They need to have their alarm systems monitored, professionally monitored, right? We need to have those alarm events going to a central station. How do they get there? The opportunity is for us to take advantage of as a replacement for those systems, for those phone services, or the other option is we don't do anything about it. And that is where the hurdle is. If we don't do anything about it, guess what? Another company is going to go in and take over that option. And by another company, I don't necessarily mean another company within the industry. It could be another solution that claims to have the same type of capabilities as far as sending, making calls out to a central station. Now, whether they're UL listed, whether they're, tried and proven to work in our industry, that's a different story. The main thing is the hurdle is the opportunity. Are we taking advantage of it, not only as manufacturers, but as integrators? Are we making those calls? Are we contacting, reaching out to property managers and saying, hey, I know your prices are going up. Let me talk to you about what I can do for you to not only lower the price point, but give you a better option in the process.
No, all good points. So focusing on its application within the alarm industry, do you ever see POTS returning to the quality it once was?
I really don't, and I don't know that anybody that has been heavily involved in the process of in the communication aspect of not only the industry but anything related to phone communications that would be willingly tell you that this is just a small hiccup. This is a long time coming. Copper wire and the I guess the basic nature of how plain old telephone service works. The basic nature of tip and ring and having copper wire running underground, that is just going to slowly fade away. And it's been slowly fading away for a while, to the point where nowadays you have manufacturers of products that are pivoting away from providing equipment that is necessary to maintain those systems. If you think about it, right? If you're a company and you manufacture equipment that is used by these telephone companies that rely on copper wire, and you're seeing the market evolve over the past few years where they're going away from standard POTS into voice over IP and digital pathways. As a manufacturer of equipment that was specific to that analog copper wire system, are you going to continue to manufacture those type of equipments, or are you going to pivot and do more provide services and equipment that is more related to the digital era, to the new things that are coming in? From a business perspective, it makes more sense for you to pivot and go with a growing market as opposed to a dying market. And that's kind of what we're seeing today. A lot of these switches, a lot of these pathways that are taken by plain old telephone service are slowly, organically, naturally just fading, naturally, going bad because they've been out there for so long, so many decades working. But now we're seeing is that there isn't equipment to replace them with. And when there is equipment to replace them with, it's a very costly experience for those service providers. And what that turns out to be is, again, a decision by the business side of things. Do I continue to maintain this very costly solution, or do I pivot and embrace the new digital era? So with that in mind, I honestly don't see a way that POTS as we knew it, as we came to know it 10, 20, 30 years ago, will ever get back to the way it was.
Interesting. So let's kind of focus more now on our customers using these POTS receivers. So what steps has Telguard taken to improve alarm delivery going to the monitoring station?
So it's always been one of those situations where Telguard has been known for decades as a universal communicator, right? We work with everybody, and I'm sure you encounter plenty of your customers that have come to you saying, hey, I have this 20, 35-year-old panel that works in a 4x2 format, and nobody else wants to work with it. Can Telguard work? And your answer is yes, absolutely. We can make it work.
Right.
Well, the truth of the matter is that we can make it work, but the receivers and the format in which we deliver it still has to go out, even though it comes via digital cellular interface to us. We still have to deliver it over phone line. Over the past few years, we've actually embraced IP technology. We've been pushing our customers. We've been talking to central stations. What can we do to digitize this information? Because guess what? Telguard gets all this data coming in a digital format. In order for us to deliver in using these antiquated formats, we have to kind of switch it back or encode it back into an analog dial-up service. We have had a big push over the past couple of years trying to get central stations, dealers to sort of see the light and kind of realize, hey, just because we were a universal unit drop-in product that you can just drop it in the middle of it and it'll work magically, there's actually a better way. Let's engage with the central station and figure out a way to better deliver that using systems that we already have. Again, keeping at the core that one of our core competencies is the fact that we are universal. So we don't need extra equipment on the receiver side, at the central station side. We're essentially working with the equipment, the receivers, the software platforms that central stations already have. So big push for us, anything that we can do to help our customers get off the phone lines, whether it's on the receiving side, right, putting a Telguard in the middle, or whether it's on the central station side, as far as changing the way that we communicate with them, we're all for it. Let's help you out.
No, awesome. I'm all about that. So last question for you. Telguard has been in business for over 30 years. We're first to market with a lot of different solutions and concepts. And I feel like we've had LTE-M out for over 2 years now. And there still seems to be some confusion amongst my customers, I imagine amongst other customers as well in the industry. Could you just kind of define what makes it so different, so unique?
Yeah, so it's one of those things, and I get those questions a lot when I happen to attend some trade show events, and I get questions about LTE-M, and the way we brand it is 5G LTE-M, right? So comes a little bit of confusion, like, hey, is this on a 5G footprint? Because guess what? Back in my hometown, a little bit outside of the city, I don't really get 5G. So is this going to work? Or hey, I see the name LTE in your 5G LTE-M. Does that mean it's just LTE? Is it going to die when 4G goes away? Those are the type of questions that kind of come from it. And it's really tough to explain unless you have like we have right now, kind of a couple of minutes to kind of dive into it, right? So the M in LTE-M stands for machine to machine. And that's basically what it is. It's just a sort of a branch off of the technology in cellular communications that caters to machine devices. And what does that mean? If I take a phone call, right, I have bad signal. What am I going to do? I'm going to go ahead and walk outside of the building, get better signal. If my phone is 10% battery and I get on a long phone call, guess what? Once it reaches like 2%, it's going to start flashing, telling me that I need to charge it, plug it in. What do? I'll find an outlet, plug it in, continue on my conversation. So these are a couple of things that when you think about a handheld device, you can do because there's an actual person on the phone, on the handset that can actually act on it. When it comes to machine devices, there isn't such a thing. So the requirements are different. The requirements are you got to have better in-building penetration. You got to reach out to those devices as best as you can. got to have ample coverage. You got to make sure that your battery lasts an incredibly long time, because there isn't going to be anybody out there changing the batteries or recharging them every day. So when you think about the requirements for an IoT device or a machine-to-machine device, there isn't a person that's going to be able to move it or do something different in order to make it better. So the requirements are different. On the other hand, when you take a look at what your requirements are as a person with an Android, with an iPhone, with a tablet, right? You're looking for speed. You're looking for bandwidth. You're looking to stream Netflix in 4K down to your phone so you can have a seamless experience with no lag in it. That's what you're expecting out of that device. When it comes to a machine-to-machine device, chances are you're nowhere near the bandwidth requirements. So you need small pieces of data to reliably get from point A to point B, reliably have signal all the time, or as much of it as you can, and to be able to last a long time on battery, or the battery consumption being very low. So from a technology perspective, we're looking at two different sets of requirements, two different sets of evolution, right? The next iPhone is coming out at the end of the year. And then in 2024, you're going to have another iPhone. And in 2025, you can almost expect the next big thing to come around the corner. And chances are that whether it's you or your children, or you're going to last no longer than 2 years before you upgrade your phone. That requirement is not the same in a machine-to-machine environment. If you're looking at a traffic light, if you're looking at a parking meter, if you're looking at a Telguard unit, chances are your customers don't want to change that device every 2 years. And you don't want to have those conversations with your customers telling them, hey, I got to get out there. I got to change your device because there's a new one coming around the corner. What we want is stability. What we want is reliability. We want the thing to work as it is after installation without touching it, without any kind of interference. And that's what LTE-M brings to the table, basically saying, hey, we recognize that now there's a separate industry. It includes connected cities. It includes alarm industry. It includes all kinds of devices that don't really have a human interaction. And we know that these devices just need to work, and most importantly, need to stay there for a long time because no one's going to change them. So what LTE-M brings to the table for us particularly is all the points that I made: reliability, signal strength and everything else. But most importantly, it's longevity. And that's where the term of 5G really comes into the picture. The premise behind LTE-M is that it has within its protocol the ability to transition from its current technology into the next technology. So what we're saying is, even though we may not have a sunset for LTE, if we've known anything throughout our history with cellular devices, is that it is eventually going to sunset. LTE is eventually going to be obsolete because there's going to be a 6G or a 7G or whatever else coming out in the future. Well, with LTE-M, what's going to happen is that when LTE sunsets, it has a provision to transition into using 5G coverage, 5G technology. And that is the beauty of longevity that we expect for the LTE-M units. That's why we label it 5G LTE-M. Today, it is working on the LTE footprint. A decade or plus from now, whenever LTE happens to sunset, it'll be able to work on the 5G footprint and whatever that technology looks like at that point.
Awesome to know. Thanks so much for answering my questions today, Danny. I really appreciate it. But just to kind of recap and give our customers some call to action, I think the biggest takeaway today is, just like with the cellular sunset, I think they need to be proactive with the POTS, problem that just seems to be getting worse and worse every year. So don't wait. I would advise our customers to get out there and, not only talk to us, but talk to their suppliers, find the right product, the cellular product that would fit their customers' needs, and then also reach out to your customers, make them aware of the potential issue that could be coming either now or in the future. They can do email campaigns. They can call the customer directly, or just do invoice stuffers just to try to plant the bug in their ear. And then I know you mentioned too, with our IP delivery option, reach out to your monitoring station contacts and work with them on, getting the right IP information that our customer service team could use to update some of your Telguard registration. And I think for further info on any of the topics that we've spoke on today, reach out to the sales team, 1-800-229-2326, option number 5. Again, that number is 1-800-229-2326, option number 5. Thank you again, Mr. Rosales. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Brian. My pleasure.